I'd like to introduce Cecilia Ödman from Sweden, from University Museum in Uppsala.
Thank you very much. And I would like to begin with a confession. I'm not from a school museum, I'm from the University Museum. So I think you will pretty soon understand that. And my presentation is all about what happens when you bring together old study collections together with students, researchers, teachers, and museum educators. But I would like to begin with introducing my museum, which you can see on the photograph, which is situated just in the front of the cathedral in the medieval heart of Uppsala. And this museum was established in the year 1997. And in the building on top you have, for example, the anatomical theatre, which gives the Gustavianum a quite special appearance. In the University Museum you can see different exhibitions on display. For example, you have a description of the history of Uppsala University through a collection of objects from a wide range of disciplines dating from 1477, when the university was founded, to the present. And today you might say that the museum has become a popular attraction to the public, with around 50,000 visitors per year. Museums of today represents a wide spectrum of different organizations and of content, and I think we have heard that already today here in the different seminars. But still the mission for us as museum professionals stays the same. We are supposed to document, to preserve, and to present. And museums, you might say, in general have changed from being collection-based for the elite to big centers for the broader public. So in our strategic planning of the Museum Gustavianum, we decided actually straight ahead to focus on the public side of our mission. And now I always forget to here you can see some of our permanent exhibitions which we have on display, and also some of our temporary exhibitions. And we do believe that museums are important actors for the future in the field of education, research, and as a public room for culture, knowledge, and events. For University Museum as Museum Gustavianum is this public engagement very important because the benefits are many. Widening participation in the activities of the universities and new groups with different backgrounds going to different universities. And you might also say that for many of our visitors, we represent the first meeting with the university. So, today many museums and collections are at risk, where the perspective of using the collections has changed from research and teaching to public interpretation, and that is the fact really for our university. And to meet the future, we must convince our university management about how useful the scientific and cultural heritage is, and that it has a huge potential of knowledge for coming generations. And you also might say that many museums are still hidden treasuries, unknown to the world, and our success depends on if we can make our heritage useful and accessible. Now comes the big question, what to do? Well, one way forward could be not only to teach, but also try to start the dialogues between others who can teach and those who wish to learn, to allow the visitors to teach the museum professionals about their mission or what it ought to be. I believe that museums should work close with other departments within the university, as well as with other schools and organizations. In our case, we are happy to see that the modern researcher is very positive to the so-called third mission, when cooperation is made possible. And one example of that is theme days with different subjects. As you can see here, we had a theme day about clouds and also about China. And the subjects can be quite different, from mathematics to Chinese punks, and this gives the academics the possibility to meet the public. And here the University Museum can play an important role in these activities, because museum staff are professional public communicators. But student participation is another important way of widening our mission. Ever since the museum was founded, student participation has played an important role in the ongoing work with respect to documentation, exhibitions, and education. For example, each semester since 1997, a number of students in the liberal arts were offered an internship at the museum's storage facility. During the internship, the students gathered insight into different aspects of inventorying and preserving objects. And these students' efforts has been led to an acceleration of the documentation of the museum's own collections, impossible for us to do without the help. But even on program days and the educational side of the museum activities, student participation has played an important role. Some of the implemented educational projects have been quite unique in its nature in Sweden and has therefore also attracted attention in the media. The Museum Gustavianum strategy had been to involve as many students as possible from a wide broad spectrum of different departments, and we hope that in the future this work could be developed further. Now I would like to give you some practical examples. One example is from the autumn of the year 2010 and 11, when students from the Department of ALM, and that means Archives, Libraries and Museums, helped us to arrange holiday activities for children. And these activities were called Time Travels and was a new project with 4 stations set up in the museum where the children could meet 4 different historical persons together with objects from the past. In 2010, the major educational effort was to design and build an experimental cabinet with inspiration from historical objects belonging to the physics chamber cabinet from the 18th century. And this was actually for the first time as the University Museum could offer permanent educational activity that was addressed to the youngest visitors, the preschool children. And this initiative was done in close cooperation with the Department of Physics, Astronomy, Education, together with 4 students from the Faculty of Science, who also had a responsibility to create a number of museum lectures with the themes from both nature and physics. Fiddling with Physics was a course we gave during several years for preschool teachers in the museum. Standing just behind or in front of the historical objects and portraits during the experiments gave another dimension to the work. And during a period of, I think, 2 years, we educated more than 500 teachers. And as you can see, we had the introduction in our anatomical theatre, where we also could give a speech about the history of education. And after this course, all the teachers could come to the museum and borrow for free a plastic box with the content of the course, so that they could continue to make these experiments together with children in the preschool and not in the museum. And now for the last experiment. Twice a year since 2006, the Museum Gustavianum has collaborated with the Department of Education at the Faculty of Education at Uppsala University. And each term, about 40 students from the preschool teacher section plans and implement a number of museum lessons for specially invited kindergartens. The collaboration begins with a lecture in the Gustavianum on the theme, the museum as a learning environment. And each museum lesson, which is prepared totally by the students, is based on inspiration gathered from the museum's activities and collections. The students in the new role as museum educators are responsible for the preschool that visit the museum and must ensure that their visit is conducted in the best manner. Since the museum only can receive about 300 children per day, we are a quite small museum. We are forced to say no to a large number of kindergarten schools. The museum here can support both the students in the education to preschool teachers and the children's joy in finding out how exciting experiments actually can be. At the Museum Gustavianum, we have found out that this student participation has become a win-win concept. And now comes another question: what can go wrong? Well, many things, of course, can go wrong when you collaborate with several departments, institutes, and people. And there can always be conflict of interest when you have several target groups in your museum at the same time. And these conflicts can also happen among your staff. So you have to be aware, and you have to have an open mind and discussions about what to do and how to see what is a museum, how can it be used, by whom, and what are you allowed to do in a museum. I must say that I personally have been very inspired by working closely together with researchers from different departments. Looking at their work has really inspired me in my work as a museum educator. And the conclusion to my presentation might be that museums have unique collections and a great many stories that need to be told. And if we dare to let in researchers, teachers, students and other explainers, then together we can connect the past with the present and future. And then maybe our museums can become laboratories for new ideas, and our collections can find a new meaning. Thank you very much.
Well, would you be so kind and wait here for maybe for some question, or because we have time for discussion? Well, first I'd like to tell you thank you. The member of the University Museum is also welcome in the family of Schulmuseen as the Children's Museum, for example, and so you are not only one from a University Museum. Lea Lipik from Tartu, for example, from Estonia. We heard first time this presentation. Well, this is the oldest university in Sweden, isn't it?
Yes.
And from my point of view, I'm surprised it is not only a museum of science, but it's also a museum very hard connection with children.
Yes, I might be honest, when the University Museum was established, I do believe that for many at university administration, they saw us not as a children-friendly museum. They wanted us to be a beautiful place where they could take the visitors and to show up the history of our university. But what we discovered the first day was actually that this museum also became very popular for children, for families. And you do not only choose your own target groups, you also sometimes, I think, have to be flexible. And here we saw that the children came to us, and then we had to arrange activities also for them. And why do they come to this university museum? Well, if you ask me, I believe it is because everything we have on display is for real. And today we're not spoiled with that, to be able to feel the history, to touch it and to discuss it. And there I think we also have a quite important role as explainers, as museum professionals, to contribute to the schools and to the pupils.
Thank you.
Yes.
How, anybody, short comment?
Yeah,
Please.
thank you, sir. The presenter, I'm very happy that, in fact, I'm very happy that this symposium comes up like this. And I want to thank the presenter, how they have been able to use the museum as a learning environment in their own area there. It's not a question, but a kind of comment that the university is doing well to facilitate learning in the museum rather than the normal classroom, amphitheater, and all the rest of it, whereby children are even enthused to come and learn. It's a very good job. The museum now is leaving the old. It's now a new, modern center for learning. And I feel all other countries can emulate so that learning is enhanced.
I think so too. In order to survive, we also have to change.
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I ask
Thank
you
you.
something, please?
Yes, yes.
All the collections are open to the children.
Yes, they are open. And it's an
The
ongoing
collections of the
discussion.
university also.
Yes, they are. And we were given an assignment from the university that said that we were supposed to inform the public about ongoing research at university. And that's a huge assignment, and we can't do that ourselves. So therefore it's really important for us to collaborate with the researchers and with the students, because without them it's impossible to achieve what we have done.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you to the colleague Ödman from Sweden.